Hello and welcome to this video tutorial brought to you by tastytunes.com. So here I have two poster designs you may be familiar with. We have the Zero Dark 30 poster here on the left and the Thing 2011 poster here on the right. I really like the boldness of these visuals and how the image appears inside the text in the center, set on a black background. In this tutorial, I will be talking about and demonstrating how we can achieve this effect and place an image inside text. For this tutorial, I will be working with this composition here and placing an image into the title in the middle. Now, I'm not just going to show you how to achieve this effect in one program, I'm actually going to demonstrate how to do this in Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign. So I'm going to be covering three programs. And later on, I will be covering a few other compositions like these here in Adobe InDesign, where we will be dealing with larger amounts of text. If you want to take a look at all the files featured in this tutorial and have a go with some of the pre-made templates, you can download the project folder. The link is in the description. Though I must stress, you will need to install some fonts if you don't already have them. I have supplied the links to get these for free online. Links are in the description. You will need to install these fonts before opening up the documents so you can have the correct fonts. Now, if however you're only interested in a specific program, I have listed the times in the description, so if you wish to skip ahead, you can do so. So let's get into it. So I'm going to make a start here in Adobe Photoshop, as this is probably the most common way and most straightforward. So we are currently looking at the finished version, and if we take a look in the Layers panel and look closely on the Image Group folder, we can see that to create the effect I have used a simple layer mask, and we can see the mask thumbnail here. And if I right click and disable the mask, we can see the original image. And if I click back on the mask thumbnail, I can reactivate it. So I'm just going to jump over to the template file I made earlier and demonstrate how to do this. Remember, you can download this document, link is in the description. So first you will need to compose all your text elements, get them all in place like so, to the correct format you are happy with. Notice here in the text group folder, all the text is composed separately on their individual layers. Now, I have actually placed the image text title here in its own folder and marked it in orange for you to clearly see. Also, you will need to create your background layers. In this case, I have a solid black background layer and a white background layer, should I wish to toggle these later. Now, it's really important to mention that in Photoshop, the text you wish to place the image inside must be white. No matter what colors you use for anything else, the color for the image text must be white. So once everything is set up, I need to introduce my image. So I'm going to navigate to my image folder and open up my image. Now we can see that this is actually a Photoshop document made of more than one layer. So I'm going to group these together by pressing Command G and then drag this group into my text composition like so. Now I need to reposition my group layer and make sure that it is set on the top of all the other layers in the Layers panel. Now in your case, you might just have a flat JPEG image that will be on a single layer. If you do, just make sure it's set on the top of all the other layers. So now I basically need to apply a mask to the image. In this case, I'm going to apply a mask to the group with the image contents inside, so the image appears to be in the text. So the first thing I'm going to do is toggle the visibility of my image group so I can see what I am about to do. Then I will select the text layer I want the image to be placed into, this text layer here in the image title text group. With the layer selected, I'm going to press Command A to select all, then Command C to copy. Now I'm going to come back to my image group folder and I can toggle the visibility of this back. Now with the group layer selected, click on the Add Layer Mask button on the bottom of the Layers panel, like so. Upon click, a new mask layer thumbnail will appear on the group layer in the Layers panel. With the new mask thumbnail selected, press and hold Alt on the keyboard. This is very important. So holding Alt on the keyboard, simply click on the mask thumbnail. Now everything should turn white. You are now looking at the mask layer, which we are about to edit. Now remember that with masks, whatever is black is hidden and whatever is white is revealed. So I want to mask away all the image apart from the text area. So first I need to select the paint bucket tool, make sure the foreground color is set to black and fill the entire mask in black. So now that's going to hide everything. Next I'm going to come to Edit, scroll down to Paste Special, then I'm going to select Paste in Place. This is now going to paste the white text in the exact area I want it, and I can press Command D to deselect the selection that was created when I pasted in the text. So now you can see why the text always needs to be white. Now I have a nice mask plate. All I need to do next is click off the mask thumbnail and back on the image group. And there it is. At this point, be sure to toggle the visibility of the original white text in the image title text group to off. Almost done. Now, if we look in the Layers panel, we can see a lock icon between the image group and the mask thumbnail. If I click on the lock symbol to toggle this to off, with the group thumbnail selected, I can now move the image within the mask like so. If I press Command T to free transform, I can also resize and reposition the image until I get a composition I am happy with. So that's how you can achieve that effect in Adobe Photoshop. So creating this effect in Photoshop is rather straightforward. The only drawback, however, is that once the mask has been applied, it's pretty much set in stone. The text in the mask is not editable. If you wanted to change the text, you would have to remove the mask and do the whole process over again. So here I am in Adobe Illustrator, and here we are looking at the finished version. Now, for you to see how I achieved this effect, you will need your Layers panel and your Transparency panel open. If you cannot see these, you can come to Window and activate the Layers and the Transparency panel here. So if we take a look in the Layers panel, we can see the top layer is the image layer, and if I select the image in the composition and take a close look in the Transparency panel, I can see that an opacity mask has been applied. And we know this because we can see to the left the image thumbnail and to the right the opacity mask thumbnail. With the image selected, if I click the top right menu on the Transparency panel and select Deselect Opacity Mask, we can then see the image. If I click this again and bring back the mask by clicking Enable Opacity Mask, we will reactivate the mask. But check this out. With the image selected, if I click on the mask thumbnail in the Transparency panel and click on the text tool in the menu, come over and click on the text, I can edit the mask text. How cool is this? So let's just undo that and click off. So now I'm going to jump over to the template file I have created earlier and demonstrate how you can do this. Remember, you can download this document, the link is in the description. Okay, so now in Illustrator, you will first have to prepare all your text layers and format them like so. As you can see in the Layers panel, all the text has been composed separately, but grouped here in this one text layer. The main image title text, however, has been placed here on a separate layer. You will also need to create your background layer. I have this black background layer here set at the bottom of all the layers in the Layers panel. Now, it's really important to mention that in Illustrator, the text you wish to place the image inside must be white. No matter what colors you use for anything else, the color for the image text must be white. Finally, you will need to create a new layer called Image and move it right to the top like so. This is the layer we are going to place our image into. So once this has all been set up, I am ready to bring in my image. So with the image layer selected at the top, I'm going to come to File and select Place. I will navigate to my image, click Place, and there it is. Now the image is looking a little small, so by pressing S on the keyboard to activate this scale tool, I can click and hold in the bottom right corner and scale the image up, like so. And that seems to be covering the text nicely. So with the image in place, it's time to apply the opacity mask. So I'm going to toggle the visibility of the image so I can see what I am about to do. And I'm going to select the main text I wish to place my image inside. And remember, this has to be a solid white. I'm going to press Command C to copy. And now I'm going to toggle the visibility of this text as I do not need this anymore. I'm going to come back to my image layer and toggle the visibility to bring this back. I'm going to click on the image and make sure I have my transparency panel open, and I'm going to click on the top right menu and click Make Opacity Mask. Now you will see the image disappear, but look closely in the transparency panel. I now have a black opacity mask thumbnail next to the image thumbnail. Now I need to click on this new mask thumbnail. This is very important. I need to have this mask thumbnail selected. Then I'm going to come to Edit, scroll down to Paste in Place, and boom! There is our image inside the text. This is because whatever is black is hidden and whatever is white is revealed. So dropping the white text into the mask revealed the image. Excellent! Now I need to be sure to click back into the image composition by clicking on the image thumbnail in the transparency panel. If you look closely in the transparency panel, I have this lock icon between the image and the mask thumbnail. If I click this to release the lock, I can now move the image around within the mask like so, and even press S to scale the image up and reposition like so. So that's how you can achieve that effect in Illustrator. So unlike Photoshop, in Illustrator you can create a mask with editable text. This gives you a lot more flexibility when creating this composition. So should you wish to make any modifications after applying the mask, you can do so. So here I am in Adobe InDesign, and here we are looking at the finished version. If we take a look in the Layers panel, if you cannot see this panel, you can come to Window and activate it here. In the Layers panel, I can see I have 3 layers: Text, Image Title Text, and Image. If I toggle the visibility of the text layer, I am left with the main title text. If I toggle the visibility of the image title text layer, I can simply see the image that has been placed beneath, which I can move around or scale up. If I toggle back the image title text layer and the text layer, I can see the result. So if I press W on the keyboard to toggle into normal view, now I can see the margin guides and the text box outlines. So on the text layer, I have some text boxes, and these contain the text around the image title text. On the image title text layer, I have just one big text box filling the entire page. The color has been set to black, and the text has been formatted and composed in this way and set to white. If I drag this text box over to the left into the pasteboard area, we can see that there is no background layer here. I am just going to toggle the visibility of the text and the image layer, and here we can also see the bleed area around the document. If I press W on the keyboard, I can toggle between normal and preview mode. So as you can see, I have created the text box to fit within the bleed area should I want to print this document later. Okay, so let's bring back the image. Now, in Adobe InDesign, you cannot use opacity masks like you can in Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. We are going to use a different technique here. What we can see here is the text inside the black text box is somehow revealing the image behind it. Now the cool thing about this is that the text can be changed. So this technique can be modified at any point. That's very cool. Okay, so I am now going to jump into the InDesign template I have prepared earlier to demonstrate how you can do this in InDesign. You can download this document, link is in the description. To create the effect in InDesign, it's important to mention that you are going to need your Effects panel open. To activate this, you can come to Window and pull up your Effects panel here. So to start, you will need to create a new document. If I come to File and select Document Setup, I can see that this document is A3, Facing Pages has been checked off, the orientation has been set to Portrait, and the bleed has been set to 5mm. Okay, so once you have created your document, you then need to focus on your text and compose the layout of your text exactly how you want it. I have organized my layers so the text that does not have any effects applied will sit on the top in one layer group. Now the text I want the image to appear in, I need to create a text box the size of the page. I'll just move this one over to the left to demonstrate. So I want to create a text box the size of the page, making sure to fit within the bleed area as well. I'm just going to click and drag this down like so, and then fill the text box with a color. Let's say we want to make this one blue. Then I'm going to double click into my text box and add some text. I'm quickly going to change the font size up. I can push this up here in the control panel. Now with the text selected, I'm going to align center by clicking the icon here in the control panel. Then if I double click outside the box, then choose the selection tool, I'm going to select the text box again. I will then select Align Center again in the control panel, and then I will have the text composed in the center of the text box, like so. Now, unlike Photoshop and Illustrator, the text you are going to place the image inside does not have to be white, so don't worry too much about that. So that is a quick demo how you can prepare your text box ready for your image. I'm just going to delete this example and move my black version back into place. Now I have spent a bit of time formatting this text to get it just the way I want it. So once you have got your text in place, it's time to bring in your image. I'm going to toggle the visibility of the text layers above so I can see what I'm about to do. Make sure you have your image layer selected and then come to File, Place, navigate to your image and Place. Your mouse cursor will ask where you want it. Just click into your document and your image will appear. And just move it into the center like so. So now I'm going to bring back my text layers, and here comes the tricky part. Make sure you can see your effects panel, and I'm going to select the main text box in the middle, the black text box with the white text inside. With this text box now selected, I'm going to come over to the effects panel. With the text box selected, I will see I have the object effects settings here in the effects panel. Be sure to toggle this down so you can see the stroke, fill and text properties. Then if I come to the bottom of the panel, I can see to the right a checkbox that is called Knockout Group. So the first step is to check this box. I need to make sure this box is checked. Then I'm going to click on the text property and then change the opacity to 50% and check that out. I can now see the image partly through the text. So I am now going to change the opacity to 0% and now we can see the image fully through the text. Now if I focus on the layers panel and click the lock icon on the text layers above, I can then select my image box and move this around or scale it up like so. Nice! So that is how you can place an image in editable text in Adobe InDesign. So depending on which software you are most comfortable using, those are some techniques on how you can achieve the effect. Though I must add that the best way would be to use either Adobe Illustrator or InDesign, for the sole reason that the text can be modified after the mask has been applied. This makes it so much easier if you wish to make modifications later. Though if you're doing a simple task, you could get away with just using Photoshop. Now there is another way to place an image in text in InDesign, though I must stress, when you use the following technique, you will not have the flexibility to edit the text once you have committed to this technique. So I'll just go ahead and quickly demonstrate this for you. So I have a new composition here. This one is a little different from the previous example. Here I simply have the word bold in the middle of my page in red. This is currently composed in a text box. The text is set to red. There is no background color fill, and I can change the format of the text if I want to. So let's say I want to place an image inside this text real quick. Well, if I use the selection tool to select the text box like so, come to text in the top menu and select create outline. Upon click, the text will then turn into a frame. With the text now as a frame and selected, I can come to File and select Place. Then navigate to the image, click OK, and this will place the image inside the text like so. So just like any other image frame in InDesign, I can double click into the image frame to select the image and move the image around and resize it like so. So this is also a pretty cool technique, but as stated earlier, you do not have the flexibility to edit the text once you have converted the text to outlines. If, however, you wish to create a composition with lots of text, it would be far easier to work in Adobe InDesign. For example, I have another composition here in InDesign. To create a composition like this would be painstakingly difficult in Photoshop and also difficult in Illustrator. InDesign is a far more powerful tool when it comes to managing and formatting text. To create a composition like this, I first acquired the text, which you can see here in this text document. Then I had to edit the text so it became one large text block, which you can see here in the second text document. Again, these are all available to download in the description. This document was created much like in the previous example. In the Layers panel, we have two layers. The image was placed on the image layer at the bottom, and the text was pasted from the Word document into a text box the size of the page, with the background color set to black and the font color set to white. If I right-click on the text box and select Text Frame Options, you can see I have set the inset spacing for top, left and right to 20 millimeters. And it's this that is creating the margin within the text box like so. To compose the text in a block, the text was selected, and in the control panel, the Justify with last line aligned left button was clicked. If I click on a different alignment icon, you can see the result. So once the text was composed, I used the same technique as earlier and used the Effects panel to knock out the text to reveal the image below. Using this technique, I have created some other compositions, and one here with a gradient text box instead of a black background. So that is how you can place an image inside text in Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you liked it, go ahead and click the like button on my Facebook page and even add me as a friend. If you wish to hear about more up-and-coming video tutorials and general creative news and updates, you can also follow me on Twitter. And of course, check out and subscribe for free to the tastytunes.com website. Well, that's it for another video, brought to you by tastytunes.com. Thanks for watching, have fun guys, and I'll see you next time.